welcome to Knox Makers Show and Share. We do this every Tuesday, sometimes in person, hopefully more in person, sometimes over the internet, or both, which we're doing right now. Hello, internet. We start off our show and share with a list of projects people have made, or they're working on, or they've totally messed up and they're here to warn everybody. So there's a sign-up sheet outside the door if you're here and you're bringing a project, if you'd like to sign up in the future. But tonight, first up, we have Greg Walters with a modified cart, and I have to press some buttons and hopefully they'll work. I think I did it. Yes, it's like a first.
This is a little different than what you are used to, and most of the jobs relate to our shop here. But I wanted to show you a way you can make $1,000, which is what I did with this project. I went out and found a golf cart, typical golf course used golf cart. They run from $1,500 to $1,700 in terrible condition, like this one did. As a matter of fact, it had 2 flat tires, but it's usable. And from that, this is what the original configuration was like. And for those of you that are golfers, you know all this, but it has a place on the back for your golf clubs and bag. And they're very simple in design. And this one had good fiberglass, which is what I wanted. It didn't have any cracks in the fiberglass, and the roof was good. And that's basically the criteria. The rest I thought I could do. And this is typically what they look like when you start out. I drove it around, gave $1,700 for this particular one. And one of the things you'll notice is it does have some rivets. So some of the disassembly requires that you drill out old rivets. But if you take a look in this original, there's no headlights. It's pretty plain Jane looking. And the average person can go through and do most of the stuff. Now, it might be that you might need to have a mechanic, if you're not mechanically inclined or haven't rebuilt engines or done anything like that. I fortunately have. You can give it to a lawnmower repair specialist. They can do it relatively cheap, or a motorcycle mechanic. And I prefer the gas engine golf carts, by the way. This is the first time I've done one. So there's what I started out with, pretty plain. Strip the body off. Again, you have to drill out the rivets, and there's nothing much more than that. Basically, everything comes apart with a wrench or a screwdriver. And I primered it. You could do that with spray cans, actually. I had the equipment to be able to spray it, but this is an epoxy primer. And as you can see, I just a couple pieces of cardboard on the ground and shot it, and cleaned up, pressure washed the cart once I had the body off. And that's what they look like when you begin the project. Once the body is on, at this point you can see I cut out the headlight openings, and there's some other things that have been done here. But again, very straightforward. The average person can do it. Now, I did do a couple of special things on this that not very many people do, but most of the things that can be done you buy, just like this kit to transfer the golf club area into a seat and platform. That's just a kit. So it gets shipped to you, and basically if you can follow instructions, you can change over that back end into something that looks like this with a seat, and the seat flips forward to make that a fairly large, the wife calls it the garden platform for her plants and that sort of thing, moving them around. And you can see the taillights are installed at this point also, and if you look closely, there's new tires on it. But the kit does include all the seat and the railing and everything else. Now, I did add safety belts so that the grandchildren could use it, as you'll see in a later slide. And that's what it looks like with the back down. And you can see at this point, there's been some modifications already, mag wheels and other things. Again, just stuff you can buy. There's a great supply house, and I'm not endorsing them or anything, but out on well, it's out on the west end, right along this side of the expressway. There's a golf cart specialty shop. I did rebuild the engine and put things like new belts, new carburetor, new spark plugs, all that sort of thing. It just needed a valve job, even though it had been used since, this is a 1979 model, by the way. It has a weird system that I have no idea how it works. This generator is also the starter. And when you just touch the gas, it starts up. It's just magical. So I never looked into really how it works. Now, I did do some wiring to straighten things out and rewired some things because it was old wiring. Made it a little bit compatible. And I also added some electronics, so that was required that I have some amount of alteration to the electrical system. But again, you can just follow directions. Now, if you remember that picture with that ugly steering wheel and the rest, this is a piece of plumbing. It's actually a vent for a roof that makes this nice little surround on this. And this is a chrome steering wheel stock, golf cart custom steering wheel. I did put new mats down and new pedals. This was one thing that most people might not do, and that is the creation of a shifter. I did that myself. And there's some electronics and other things that are built into this thing. But this dashboard kit, again, is just 3 pieces. I rivet it back in, and the average person can do it in no time at all. And it really is one of the major improvements of this cart. $80, and then, I don't know. They're not expensive, this stuff. Also, on the roof, I added, I happen to have had a stereo left over that has a DVD player in it. This face comes off, you can put a DVD in it, and that's actually a little TV screen. And I added 4 speakers to it, 2 on the out back, and then 2, as you can see. So this is in the roof, and there's just back here, just right here, is a LED touch light. But my grandchildren just love this radio. I shouldn't have let it go. I did sell it. Here's the shifter that I added. And that would take a little bit of engineering to know how to do that. But you can see I put new seat covers on it. Now you can see the seat belts that I've added, front and back. This is the shifter mechanism that I had to create. And this is what it looks like when finished. Vastly improved. So a $1,700 golf cart converted into something that looks significantly better. You can be proud of it, chrome rockers, and I did put a windshield on it that folds down. And here's the rear speakers that you can see up here, a curved mirror, and other things. So I had $1,700 in it, sold it for $5,100. Oh, I sold it for, I'm sorry, I was going to say that doesn't make sense. I made $3,100, or expended $3,100 and sold it for $5,900. And you can see all the things that I did, but literally everything is a pair of pliers once in a while, a wrench once in a while, a screwdriver. That's about it. But I'll entertain any questions you might have. There's the before and the after. And it was fun. It really was fun.
How much time do you have in it?
I would guess something like between 50 and 70 hours. But I'm pretty meticulous. I mean, like the muffler. Who would think to detail a muffler? But I did. You know, that's just me. So, any questions or anything I can tell you? All right, good. Thanks. I didn't want to try to unplug it if things go bump in the night.
Got it?
Yep.
That was very creative. I liked it. And it looked really nice at the end. We're going to go out of order, and Andrew is going to show us an entire gallery on his laptop. Cheating.
It's inside the laptop.
Inside the laptop.
Let's see if this works. I've tested this. Maybe. 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 Oh, yeah, that's what I wanted. Okay, hold on. Yeah, I'm trying. I don't know which direction it is, but there we go. Oh, okay. All right, So about a year ago now, my wife and I purchased a building in North Knoxville to use for rentable artist studios and a print shop and a gallery space. And we were very, very excited about it, as you can tell. It's approximately 6,000 square feet. There's a studio apartment on the backside of it that we actually have a tenant in right now. So the building was built in like 1940 something and maybe has 2 additions on it, which is about par for the course around here. I have no idea what it was used for when it was originally built, but the people that we bought it from used it as a security system installer. So it was a pretty rough, several of the areas were pretty rough. The area in the middle that we decided was going to be the gallery because it had the most wall space was probably the worst off. It had this like masonite in the ceiling that had like received water damage, so it effectively melted. I mean, it looked absolutely disgusting. And then of course the wall itself was insulated, but otherwise lacking any cover on it. This is kind of a better angle of, you can see where that ceiling is all jacked up. It's because they put the AC unit on their roof, because the best thing you ever want to do is like poke a big hole in your roof to run an AC system through it. And so I guess it's better than it being walked off in the middle of the night, but I don't know, not an issue anymore, I don't think. Anyway, so that's what it looked like. So first things first, we got to work taking out all that ceiling and cleaning stuff up. In the back right corner there, you can see what looks like a toilet. That was labeled the men's room. You can actually see the door there as well. It was just a toilet in a box. There was no sink or anything else. So I guess note to the ladies, make sure they wash their hands. Anyway, so we kept doing that, kept working on it, removed the rest of the ceiling. I had a friend come over to the space here, and we built a faux wall because several of the walls have windows on them, which you can't really hang anything nice on, so we wanted a little bit more room. This is a nonsense idea I came up with, which is basically 2 half-inch pieces of plywood sandwiching a kind of like a square structure of 2x4s. So it's all screwed together. And then there's like a channel in the middle between the 2 panels that I used that a 2x4 will fit in. So it's kind of keyed a little bit. So when the 2 walls come together, you can see that's what one of them looks like hung on there. We wanted it to be like semi-permanent. So it's suspended from the ceiling by these turnbuckles, and it's screwed into the ground or to the floor. So it's under tension, but it's not, a permanent install. We could just undo those screws and undo the turnbuckles and move it if we needed to orient the gallery in a specific way. If an artist was interested in doing, whatever, something different with it. So if you notice also on this picture, we also have drywall going in, which is the second time I've really done heavy drywall work. The first one being the wall to our right here, which actually rated most of that work, if I'm being honest. So I wish I would have helped him more, because drywalling sucks. And it's certainly one of those skills that you can get good at, but you got to put in the time for it. So anyway, so we got drywall in there, and then we went to painting. And it's pretty easy. The color scheme was pretty obvious because it's a gallery, so we just threw a coat of white paint on everything. I also pulled out all there's a fire suppression system with all this plumbing up in the ceiling. That got pulled out. The AC lines got pulled out. And the lighting got switched over to something that kind of is a little bit brighter, a little bit less direct. So this is what it looked like 2 days ago, actually, all painted up. I installed a bunch of track lighting, so you can do customized lighting based on whatever's going on there. It went pretty easily, actually. I also modified the track lights have a power injector, if you will. That's how it feeds the track system. And I added a pull string to those so that we can turn those off and on independent of the other light switch, because I didn't want to run an entirely new circuit for the whole thing. So anyway, so that comes to the next thing. This Friday, October 15th, from 6 to 9, you guys are invited to come on out to our grand opening, our semi-soft opening. I think there's going to be some sort of like brie or some kind of cheese available that was also semi-soft. I don't know. But yeah, it should be an okay time. We'll have some refreshments and a couple pieces of art from all the folks that are renting space in the studio right now, and you can check out some of the other stuff we've managed to accomplish in this last year. There's still a ton of work to do. Yeah. I wish, like I should, but if that was the case, I would have done that like 2 months ago. So this is what it looks like right now with a nice shiny copper door and a new paint job up front. So yeah, parking is on the side next to Fountain City Stained Glass. They offered to let us use their parking lot. So anyway, that's that. That's what I've been doing this entire time. So if you're like, hey, where are the blacksmithing classes at? You can blame this. I've been doing this instead. Any questions? Everybody good? See you Friday?
Yes.
All right.
Two very nice upgrades tonight. Next, we have Donald with a garage organizer.
All right, so this garage organizer is a little large and bulky, so I'll just display it over here. Let me hold it up for you so you can see it good. I'll just set it right there. So this is a Craig's project. For those of you who aren't familiar with Craig's jig, it's basically a composite jig with plastic and aluminum, and it allows you to drill a perfect angled hole from one board into another, so the screw joins it perfectly, and it's a very stable and very strong joint. And the Craig who invented it is an absolute genius. So this whole project is built like that. So they have their own online community, and if you build something with Craig's jig, you can post plans, and that's where I found this from. So it's called a garage organizer. It can go anywhere, but it will go in my garage. And the one thing I liked about it is in a small, compact area, it does many different things. It's got obviously the quarter-inch hole pegboard that you can rearrange the hooks. It's got a small surface that you can write on. It's got a podium style, which comes out. This can be removed. So you have storage underneath it. This is typically where I would keep the plans of whatever project I was currently working on. And then it has both a small rectangular cubby and a large square cubby to hold things. So there's a whole bunch of organization and storage. I'll hold it up one more time. That you can, here, maybe I can. There's a whole bunch of organization and storage in a small package. So that's what I liked about it. It's just about finished. I just have to put, it's a rough project. I call it garage project. So I wasn't really going to trim it out any better than that. And I was going to put a couple coats of polyurethane on it. And then, like I say, when I move into my new house, I would already have this ready to go and put it somewhere in the garage. And that's pretty much.
Is it meant to sit on a surface or hang on the wall?
It hangs on the wall. I haven't installed the hanger yet, but it's basically like a French cleat. If you're familiar with that, it's a metal one, but you could just put a French cleat on there. You could even screw it right into the studs if you wanted to. It's exactly 24 inches across, so 16-inch studs. You could hit 2 of them. So yeah.
Nice.
All right. I'll just leave it up here if anybody's interested. Okay. Any questions?
Plywood? What kind of wood is it?
It's plywood. Yeah, it's standard. The entire thing is built with standard 3/4-inch sanded plywood, the slightly better type of plywood without going. You could use a hardwood, which is kind of expensive for this. But a construction plywood would be a little bit too rough. So it's sanded 3/4-inch plywood with some poplar trim.
Same question, how long did it take?
That's a good point. I've been coming here almost every Thursday and Friday for about 2 hours, and I guess I've come I won't be able to do the math for you. But anyways, it was several weeks worth of a couple hours at a time. Yeah.
All right. Next we have Sabil with art. It is a surprise what art.
Hello, I'm Sabil. So calling it art makes it sound very pretentious, but I didn't have a. I know, but it's there's also isn't. Oh, how do I zoom out?
Zooms out, yeah.
Is it this? How far does it go? Okay. But I also didn't have any term that was descriptive but also truthful. So this is just. So I joined last week, so I just wanted to show off the first thing that I made here. So this is just a piece of paper, rubbed charcoal on it. I was asking Sean, I think Sean is the czar of the arts and crafts. Okay, I think I was asking him about charcoal, and they didn't have any. So, but now we have 2.5 sticks of charcoal. The half was here now on this. And this is the owl is just something I colored from an adult coloring book and cut out and stuck to the paper and framed it because there was a suggestion by one of my friends because she saw me coloring. I was like, oh, that'll look great on a black background. I was like, sure, that sounds neat. And I didn't want to cover my apartment in charcoal if I could avoid it, so I came here to do that instead. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Any questions? Yes. No, it's just sitting there. I don't know what sealing means. It took me less than an hour just rubbing it all in and then washing my hands for 15 minutes to get it all off.
Hairspray that it usually seals. Is that all? You hairspray it, it'll
Hairspray?
seal it
Okay. All right.
and get it all over your apartment.
Yeah, I'll remember that. Yeah, was that?
I'll hold it up.
Oh, I don't know. This is visible. So, thanks.
That's
Yeah.
art.
Yeah. Thanks. I appreciate it. But yeah, that's it from me.
And last on the list we have Sean with also art, but it is made of wire and electronics.
Hey everybody. So Ray, our wonderful Ray Crampton, had this idea a few months back for these boards. He had seen something about people who make sculptures out of wire and electronic components and stuff, and he approached me and said, hey, what do you think about coming up with some way to make a combined electronics and arts and crafts project out of this? And I said, that's a great idea. What'd you have in mind? He said, well, I already designed a board that would display some sort of art. So, of course, he did. And he ordered up a bunch of these boards and gave me a bunch of them and said, make something out of these and we'll see what we can do with it. So I made this, which let me zoom in a little bit. The board itself, he just gave me as a kit. And if you can see, it has 9 of these pads, and they're like surface mount pads. They don't connect to anything, but they just make for anchor points for whatever you want to build on top of it. It's run off of a coin cell. I think version 2 might be just off of a micro USB, and then 4 LEDs. These just happen to be green. He said they were going to be white, and they were green. So once I started up, I was like, oh, it's green. I guess I will make a spaceship because that's the first thing that popped in my head. So, can I turn off? Yeah, the light. It's a little easier to see the lights when the light is not on. But yeah, it looks really cool in the dark. But yeah, so basically what I did for the wire is I just found some decent gauge craft wire. It held a nice bend to it. You could either keep its springiness like I did for the abduction beam or whatever they call it on the UFO, and then I just kind of did freehand the the UFO shape. I didn't really have a plan when I started building it. I just started bending circles and wrapping wires around stuff to kind of get different shapes, and then doing some rough measurements, so that's why some of it's a little bit lopsided. Nothing was done with any sort of precision, but yeah, and then I just soldered it together with just regular old solder, and it works pretty well. The solder sticks to the wire real well. Like I said, the wire holds a nice bend, and then, yeah, once it's down, it illuminates the piece pretty well, especially in the dark. And yeah, so I've got a few more ideas of stuff to do, so you might see some over the next couple weeks or months of various other sculptures that you can make on this, because the ultimate goal is, once Ray develops the second generation, is to have a class where people can make these probably around late November we're aiming for, or early December, perfect for Christmas gifts. Okay, yeah, so you can see it a little better now, but yeah. So yeah, and then these are, like I said, they got the 9 points on there. They're all not quite a square. You have the 3 and 3, which are parallel, and the one in the center, but you have 2 that are slightly offset, so the measurements between them is a little different for each pad. But I found that just looking at it, I had some more ideas, so you'll see some of those in the future. And it's really easy to solder it all together. I did it in just less than an hour in one evening. And the wire sculpture took a little bit longer because I was just kind of working freehand and didn't have a plan. But if you do take this class, if you're interested and come with a plan of what you might want to make, then it could be a pretty enjoyable experience. And if you've never done wire bending before, it's actually kind of a zen little activity to do. I would just do it winding down for the evening sometime, just go and bend some wire and cut it and solder it. It's pretty cool. So yeah, if anybody is ever interested in these, so look on the calendar. Hold it up here. Yeah. 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 So the battery is just a coin cell on the back, and so you solder in the holder. And like I said, the second generation probably will have a little micro USB, so you can run it off a power bank or whatever. Because yeah, it is, once you have the stuff all soldered in there and the standoffs screwed in, it does make it a little difficult to get the battery in and out. But it's got a little power switch too, so it's not like it's wasting battery as soon as you put it in. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I have some design notes for Ray. I was hoping he'd be here tonight, but I think the second generation is going to be pretty cool. And you can make something like this for yourself if you're interested. So take a look, keep an eye out on the calendar for that around holiday time for some first ever electronics and arts and crafts hybrid class that I'll be teaching. So thanks.
Yay. Thank you, Sean. Now we're up to announcements, and Brian is our first announcement person.
So for those of you guys who've been following along with woodworking, we were raising money for a new planer. I don't even know if I told anyone, but we did order it and it is here. So this is like the grand unveiling. If you want to check it out, it's sitting out there. It's unboxed but not hooked up. It'll probably be hooked up in the next month or two. We have to run some new circuits and rearrange the shop to fit the thing. It was a $3,400-ish purchase, about half of which was donated specifically for it. Half came from classes that have been taught for the last year and a half-ish. And then some, I believe, came from the board, and the board signed off on it, so thank you for the board for making that happen. Second, Billy is on me about finishing our workbench, so I'm trying to make some strides on it today. I can use at least 2 helpers if anyone is looking for a project to work on immediately after this. So come see me, come find me afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. I'm very excited to see the planer. I forgot to look when I was back there before. Upcoming classes. Tomorrow there's a class, but it's sold out. It is for the anatomy of a lock and key. Doc has been teaching a series of lock sport classes. I think this is not the lock picking one, but it's more about locks in general, but it's sold out. But he is continuing to do them. So if you're interested in that, you should keep your eyes on the calendar, because there probably will be another one sometime soon. And then the other classes on the calendar is Billy pushed a bunch of machining classes today so that we'd announce them tonight. On Thursday the 21st is a Machining 100, which is like the baseline, what you need to do to work with any tool in the machining. It's the off class. On the 23rd, which is a Saturday, is Milling 101. So the mill, the Bridgeport, if you've never used that before. And then on the 28th, which is a Thursday, is Milling 201. And that is a special class if you were like, learn how to talk by using a mill or something, like you've been using a mill your whole life, but you've never used this specific mill. That is the one you want. So you're an expert already, but you want to learn Billy's mill. Then you want to take Milling 201. And he's right there, and you can talk to him about it after the show and share if you're interested in finding out what exactly these classes cover and what you need to get started in the metalworking machining area. So that comes to the end of my announcements. If you're new here, you can talk to John Dale, Billy, or Sean about getting a tour, and they'll gladly show you around. And that's all I've got. Go make cool things. Oh yeah, if someone wants to help me change the filters, that'd be great too. They're really dirty.